hand those names off to Peach, and Peach will sort of move them forward.
He knows.
Okay, all right, perfect.
Oh, Scotty's
And if there hasn't yet been a response, then I'll see what I can do regarding that.
Yeah, well, that was Scotty Bard. Word on the street is that Pred killed Turner and took over the position of chief of police. Yeah.
Is he interested in a job?
What's
I
a job?
didn't kill anybody.
He's thinking. I didn't ask him. He also ate a cheese sandwich and did not like it.
I'll get him hired. Let me talk to him.
Yeah, well, hold on. Peach, just a
yesterday.
reminder. You need to have an interview with them regardless to see if they pass the vibe check. Because ultimately, you never know. What if he's been kidnapped and on an island for however long he's been MIA, and now he's just an absolute heathen?
That is correct.
This is why, we can't be jumping. We can't be jumping to. Don't get me wrong. I would love for him to be hired.
Again.
Exactly, but we do need to make sure, because you just never know.
Oh, he might have got a country accent.
Ooh.
Little bumpkin.
He did wear cowboy hat last time I saw him.
He does like a good cowboy hat.
All right. Aside from that, what do we? Pred, are you going to submit the names on the docket?
Is that what I'm supposed to do?
I'll email you the docket because I know you're gonna struggle.
Thanks, buddy.
And then I need to talk to you guys about our run-in with Darkstone.
Oh God, not again! Oh.
Fuck Gunnar Kane. This guy's dumb as fuck. This guy's gonna get a lot of people killed.
Wait till you hear what I have to tell you.
Are we waiting for Oxby to return?
Yeah, do you want Peach and Gray? Do you guys want them to hear all this?
Should we limit this to high command?
Oh no. Oh.
Yeah. We'll limit it to high command.
Okay.
We'll limit it to high command. No. It's fine. Listen, we're doing you a favor. Don't you worry.
And my name's on some of the dangerous shit anyways already, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bye, Gray.
Oh,
all right.
awkward.
Oxby was there.
One's coming in, one's going out. There we go.
Yep. All right. Let's talk about our run-in with Delta One.
Yeah. That was fun.
Delta One? This a flight? This like a flight subscription? What's going on?
He is the leader of Darkstone.
I heard about this.
There's a report up. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Let me find it real quick. I'll give the TLDR as far as the overview, and if there's anything specific that you want to bring up, Ruby. I know you talked with Knight regarding it. Quangle threw up a report last night. Regardless, so I'll as I try and find the report. Last night, Quangle went up to the BCSO Academy. I actually cannot find the report now, but Quangle went up to the Academy to talk to the new. I got it now. To talk to the new cadets. It's going to be report 33006. He took photos of a plane that was landing there because he found a military aircraft that was landing, and one of the Darkstone guys setting up stuff. Darkstone is not recognized in the state, as we have heard from the hearings and such, and the fact that we can't use the shotguns and all that. So he's like, hey, identify yourself, because they were landing a military helicopter at Zancudo.
If you want to see the helicopter, 33006. Some kind of explosive device was put on the ground. It was very exciting.
3306?
3306.
It's also a report, not an incident, Pred.
Yeah, report. Yeah. They had a U.S. Army Marine helicopter, like actual military. I've never seen anything specifically like that. Yeah.
It actually says Marines on the side. Damn.
Yeah. Quangle, understandably, I think, was like, "Hey, what the fuck?" He went to go
Mhm.
approach the guy to ask him to identify, and he had 4 BCSO deputies roll up on him with weapons in hand, is what he said. And they said that, Brian Knight said, "I am good." Quangle still thought it was odd, so he made a report. Brian was unhappy. He had labeled the report. Brian Knight allows a Darkstone helicopter to fly through Zancudo, which Knight had an issue with, and kind of got on Quangle for. We then saw that same individual roll through the CMC emergency lane, so we stopped him and asked to identify. He had a lot of attitude at first. We're like, "No, sir, you're in a military vehicle that just drove through the emergency lane. We need you to
Blacked
identify."
out, mask, everything on. Yeah.
Yep. Had no idea who he was. He identified, and his name's on there, Jake Forrest. His ID is on a different report that we made later that night. I ended up talking with him a little bit, and he was just like, "Are you on my side or are you not?" I'm like, "Well, sir, you're not recognized by the state. We don't know what the fuck you're up to." And after identifying him, talking, running the play of the vehicle and all that, we let him go. I got a call maybe 20 minutes later from him directly. And he said, "You're a captain of the LSPD. Do you know what is going on and what we're trying to fight?" And he brought up the faceless. And I said, "I have tiny bits and pieces, but no, I have no idea. I have not been briefed on any of this. I have no idea." He was fucking livid because he's been giving information to Gunner that Gunner's supposed to be giving to LSPD High Command. And Ruby and I do not know the details. We have not been briefed on.
Well, actually, hold on. Wait. Not necessarily. The agreement that we sort of came to was if you are going to require LSPD cooperation and involvement in situation, we want full transparency. In saying that, could this have been a situation where it was purely just Darkstone, no involvement from marshals? Because again, the agreement was if they need our direct involvement, we get full transparency. There's nothing redacted, nothing hidden, and to my knowledge, that hasn't been requested as of yet. So maybe we speak with Gunner to change the terms so that we're aware of these things beforehand.
I mean, I think we have to be, because they're asking for us to be attaching to things. We're getting 78's calls where we're having to attach. Yes. We're having officers get shot at by fucking Apaches, and they don't understand why we're being like, I have been shot at. I had a triage by an Apache, having no context as far as why. I've seen it firsthand.
So he said to me when we were talking at CMC, he said, "So you don't want the shotguns?" I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "I'm supposed to be meeting with DOJ on Monday in regard to you guys getting the shotguns that we flew into the state as per your request." I said, "I have no knowledge that we requested them." And he said, "You guys requested them. We flew them in. We put our lives in danger. And now we're going to talk to the DOJ so you can get your shotguns." He says, "And this is how I get treated." I said, "Sir, you're in a blacked out vehicle, blacked out from head
No one
to
knows
toe
who the
with-
fuck you are. Hello?
I don't know who you are." I said, "We're just doing our jobs just as you're doing yours." But he gave us massive attitude. So there was a situation on Friday. I don't know if you were involved. I'm not sure if you were around, Pred, but it happened up on the coast by Zancudo again, where officers had to get involved because they were shooting up and down Great Ocean Highway once again. And we had to get involved and find these people and arrest them. So we weren't privy to that.
I think, Pred, our conditional terms with the marshals, Gunner specifically, has to change, because if these things are happening and we're being told that the information was conveyed to the marshals and yet we are still having run-ins with them without that context, that's not appropriate.
Here's what we got to do. Are we able to talk to this individual?
He asked for contact. Said he'd reach out to me.
You've got his number, right? Did he call you?
He did call me.
Look, let's get this all sorted out directly. Apparently, Gunnar Kane can't relay appropriate information to us. All right. And then we'll figure it out from there. The key here is not us going to Gunnar Kane and playing telephone. The key here is for us getting it directly from the fucking source and stealing it from Gunnar Kane.
Full disclosure, though, full disclosure, if we are openly acknowledging that they have no authority in the state of San Andreas and we work with them directly, we are now directly tying ourselves to that situation.
Look, here's the thing. No one's saying we'll work with them.
If we get it,
we're going to get the information.
Well, okay, but that's the thing. Fortunately, we have always been able to claim ignorance because the communication was conveyed to the marshals, and then we are asked for assistance in life or death, situations. If the stuff is conveyed to us beforehand, we cannot claim ignorance. If we have full knowledge of what's going on, we have to make a determination pretty much right then and there, with or without marshal involvement. Is that something we're willing to take on?
Look, here's the determination that I would make now. All right, we cannot, as a police force, work with a fucking some type of federal anti-terrorist agency. As someone who was a terrorist that fought against this great nation that I one day hope to be president of, we need to understand that if they're we might have to start firing at them. I mean, we can't allow people to go around in Black Hawks shooting at each other like savages. No, we have to. Our job is to protect the people, first and foremost. And if these guys are jeopardizing that, and if they're breaking the law, that makes them our enemy. But also, how the fuck are we going to deal with armored helicopters, APCs, military-grade weaponry, and their level of training?
And Darkstone told me that he's fighting against the Faceless who have nukes. That was what he told me on the phone. That is why they are doing their operations, which I did not know of. I have no information about. Ruby, you said you might have a piece of that. I don't know.
Okay, let me give you a hypothetical. We have these shotguns, we have these SMGs, right? And right now, one of the points of contention is it says Darkstone Mercenaries, like it's inscribed on the actual firearms.
Correct.
Fred, they approach you tomorrow. You get a call from this guy directly, who's part of Darkstone, and he goes, hey, I have a new shipment of shotguns. They're not inscribed with anything. We're going to need assistance with shipment. Legally, Pred, again, we can't claim ignorance.
Yeah, we can't. But it's better we get those shotguns than someone else.
I agree, but we can't say yes.
No, but we know who to talk to, so we can get a yes.
Who would we talk to?
Well, first we would start with our mayor, and then our mayor would go to the state and get approval. That's all it is. And none of that has ever been done. None of that has ever been done. Our mayors were kept in the dark.
Can't allow people to be kept in the dark. Okay?
In the dark.
Actually, listen, you know what? With that further explanation, yeah, I'm 100% on board. We cut the middleman. Don't get me wrong. We will require martial intervention because they do have equipment to deal with certain things that we just don't. That's the reality of the situation.
Yeah. The issue is Delta One was very upset that none of us that he spoke to last night had any knowledge of the situation that happened on Friday. So it sounds like Gunnar Kane had information that something was happening on Friday, and he should have warned BCSO and LSPD law enforcement officers that there could be some potential fallout from this as normal. But he didn't. We discovered it as someone was patrolling, and suddenly helicopters and boats are all shooting at each other.
I think that puts us in a very advantageous position where we not argue with this person, but we pretty much explain, listen, the middleman between you and us being a very large department in comparison to the marshals, like, they're obviously not doing their job in communicating these things so that we're made aware so that we don't ultimately avoid, fucking anything up. So how about you just come to us directly?
Yeah, look, we pinpointed the issue. The issue is the marshals, maybe specifically even Gunner Kane. All right, they got to come to us. All right, that's what they got to do.
Okay, next question.
Yeah.
If we don't acknowledge their authority in legislation or legally anywhere, what are we doing in the event of these helicopters and stuff being utilized? If
So
we
it's
arrive
interesting.
on scene in the midst of a situation and we can't identify the aggressor, what stance do we take? Because I think that puts us in an impossible position.
Evacuate and quarantine that immediate area. Try and make contact. Let them know that if any of them try to leave, they'll be met with deadly force. It's that simple. You know, if it's on Great Ocean Highway, that's an easy spot for us to evacuate, right? We just close down the highway, set up barricades, and, we try and keep a watchful eye, but we can't in good faith engage our helicopter to oversee everything that's going on in the sky because we'd be putting officers' lives at risk. And we don't have the equipment to deal with Blackhawks and nukes. We're a police force. We're not paramilitary.
Do these individuals have access to PD radio? I've never encountered them, to be clear.
No, not that I know of.
Look.
So,
I'm hearing that have you guys heard of the archivist?
Yes.
yes, yeah, I'm
So
keeping a
apparently, if
record of all
someone
that.
has
What?
access
Is this
to
a
our
nerd?
files, now the archivist is someone that says that they can get any information out of our database.
Are we sure this
They-
isn't just a cop with photographic memory?
No,
No.
they amended the Constitution. They put an A at the bottom of it.
Ah?
Yeah, if
So
you look
the-
at the Constitution and legislation all the way at the bottom, they put an A.
Yeah, so they were talking, I believe, to one of the mayors, and then they spoke to Brian Knight, and on the phone, they said, to prove that I can do this, I'm going to alter the Constitution, and right in front of their eyes, the Constitution was changed. Not only that, they have tweeted out bank records of Rizal, bank records and transactions from June. They have information. They've tweeted out documents. They have access to everything. And that's why the other day, I was a little apprehensive when someone said, we're moving all of our SOPs to the MDT and not having, an emergency backup. I was like, oh dear.
I know there definitely will be an emergency backup. We have to, because listen, you ain't catching me trying to search for something on the MDT. No, thank you. Absolutely not.
All you do is open WordPad,
Control
copy and
F.
paste. It's not that hard to have an emergency backup.
Well, exactly,
Yeah,
but that needs to be
yeah.
available to everyone, so everyone has the ease of access and same formatting, so that there's no confusion. Like, both are good options, to be clear.
Yes.
So
just so you
oh,
know,
gosh.
this Delta guy, Forrest, whatever his name, they have San Andreas driver's licenses. They have San Andreas registered vehicles. So all of the stuff that they use is registered here. But I don't believe they reside here.
I think the
Probably using
technical
fake
legal
names and stuff too.
and I think this is why the mayor had such a sort of a point of contention, is that because they're not recognized anywhere, like, okay, this whole McMoo thing that I explained at the meeting, how they claim self-defense. I don't know if they can shoot people and like not be deemed the aggressors because they're not the police. I don't know how we're
That
supposed to deal with
was,
this. It's a big gray area.
Why is it the
was-
FIB just reached out to us on their behalf? If they're this institution, why did the FIB just say, "Hey, I'm FIB agent. These people are operating, and
There was an
for
FIB
the
agent,
greater good."
Smith, yesterday that shot down idiot from the besties and then blew up a bunch of police up in Sandy. And all of
You
the
sure
planes.
that was an FIB guy?
No, it was
Since
FIB
when?
Agent Smith. apparently,
What the
and
hell?
two aircraft were shot down, and there was no pilots in them. They were remotely controlled. FIB are not recognized either.
All right, so we got a lot of stuff we got to get done. Try and get the Darkstone contact. We've already pushed forth our shit. Guys, be aware of this P&T stuff. Try and get it fixed amicably. You know what I mean? These we can't have our
It won't be
like
an
it's
issue.
okay if our people fight and don't like each other, right? But Key's gonna have to understand hiring's done by Peach. Peach ain't gonna go up to Key and say she wants to change shift to people in shift 2. You know what I mean? He's gonna have to, he's gonna have to kind of be on board for this shit. Ruby, we're gonna find whoever did that to your beautiful face and made it fucked up. Guys, I gotta head out because the last few days of the month I like to call it a little early.
All right, have a good one, Pred.
Okay.
You guys have a good one.
All right.
Okay. Well,
did he put up the nominations?
he
Is
did.
all
Yes,
I'm
he
worried.
did.
Thank you. Awesome.
I double checked just to make sure. So we're good on that front. He also spelled Gray's name correctly. So if on a technicality the DOJ one didn't count because it was spelled with an E, we're good on Pred's front. I highly doubt the BCSO are going to nominate a second name.
I don't think so either. I think they want that connect.
I agree. Ruby, I have not meddled with any MDT permissions, and I do have a question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would it be possible to rename all of the PD-related ranks to have a PD in parentheses? The only reason I ask is because, unfortunately, when we do see every other department, we have... I don't know if it still exists, but one of the first times I ever looked at the ranks, there was like 3 FTOs, and I'm fairly certain it was because it was FTO for PD, FTO for EMS, and I want to say that may have been clarified with the other departments putting it, but I think ultimately every single PD rank should just be labeled PD, just like we have, PD tow, PD advisor,
Okay.
just so there's no permission overlap and issues where someone tries to edit something unrelated to PD, but they accidentally fuck with one of the PD ones.
Yeah, let me have a look at that. So it's not rank, it's the other one, right?
What did you just do?
No, it would be rank. It's specifically rank, actually. It's not department.
Oh, there's one that says P&T. What the? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so my concern is if, for example,
Okay.
Falconer had asked, because I wanted that additional temporary ICU release form, and he asked for which ranks would have access. And
Okay.
unfortunately, if I say these things and there's an overlap with another department, someone may unintentionally gain access to it, and I don't want that to happen.
For example, receptionist should be PD receptionist.
Correct.
Okay,
or
I got you.
I don't know who has the admin role. I'm going to assume that might be not PD related, but I also don't know.
Yeah, it's been me from the beginning, but I haven't touched it based on my rank.
Got it. Okay.
I've shown other people how to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. There should be a couple of people with that admin. I'll get the names for you so you know, because we kind of know what's.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and change those ones. Those ones are easy.
If you could also do that for the BCSO ones, and I will contact Frost and inform him as to why. Realistically, nothing's actually changing. It will also make it easier to search, because at that point you'd likely be able to just type in PD and then all of the PD stuff will come up, hopefully, if the search feature works. Who knows?
Yeah, so for example, DTF, which is BCSO's detective unit. I'll be honest, I just don't know why we don't call ours the same. It doesn't really matter. It's just a detective task force.
Who knows at this point?
Yeah.
I'm going to contact Frost right now and let him know we're going to make that
Okay.
change just to simplify stuff.
Okay. Yeah, there's
Oh,
one that
fuck.
says wildlife rescue. That tells me nothing.
That's my concern. Let's see. All right, give me a second. I'm going to contact Frost.
Sure.
Rhodes,
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Real quick, I'm just gonna, I'm letting you know, I'm having Ruby go through the MDT, and she's gonna be changing all of the PD related ranks for PD access to include, well, no, to include just PD, either in parentheses afterwards or just PD before, like PD officer, PD deputy. That way, when we're going through the ranks or assigning ranks, it's easy to identify which ones are PD specific. Because there was a time where there was 3 FTO ranks, and that was because it was like FTO for EMS, FTO for PD, and I don't want there to be confusion. So
yeah, no, makes sense.
I just wanted to give you that heads up so you're not questioning why the fuck the actual name changed. None of the permissions are actually changing.
That's why I was oh yeah, that shit scares me.
Yeah, no.
No, yeah, that sounds good. All right.
All right, perfect.
No problem.
Is there anything you need, Frost?
I don't think so.
Okay, and just for clarification, so we just put up our, the LSPD put up the Marshal Director nominations. We went with Brian and Gray.
Okay.
I know you picked Brian. You are aware that you have 2 selections, right?
I am.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
A second person.
All right, sounds good.
That would fit right now.
Didn't want there to be any confusion for that.
I've got till the end of the day, right? To think of a second.
Yes, from my understanding.
Yeah. Yeah, no issues. All right, Rhodes. Thank you.
All right, have a good one. Bye. All right. Hondo, thank you for the 38 months. I appreciate it.
Things that I said was it was in one ear and out the other at times. So I'm cautious of that.
I think when they meet, someone will have to be there for that.
I'm gonna have to mediate.
I am
I'll take care of
very
it.
afraid of the fallout. I really just don't want to lose half of our PD.
We won't.
Was this
It
the
just needs to
Peach
be.
key situation?
Yeah.
I think what people, and I wish this was the messaging a little bit more because I already briefed Key on it. Peach also needs to be diplomatic. It's not just Key.
I agree.
She gave me misstatements because she was so frustrated and defensive. And if that's the energy she brings, that's not going to go well. I'm trying to smooth it out between both of them. I think he has valid reasons why he's upset, just like how I think she has valid reasons why she's upset. I need them to work together and not be at each other's throats and be getting defensive.
I just think it's going to be very tough. I get it. An officer has put forward somebody to be hired. They're putting their name behind them. And then someone comes in and says they're a blainer. I get it. He's very defensive. I understand that. But I also know what it's like to put your name behind someone. And if someone else says, no, we can't hire them, that's tough. Because it's not just Key's name that's behind her. It's like 4 or 5 other people. So this is going to be really tough.
It's shitting on the opinions of others because I'm the P&T head.
I think the tricky part in all of this is that I think there's justification behind all of what I think Key being frustrated is valid. I think, you know, what he said and the way he said it, not so much. But if Peach was also exhibiting that, you know, that same energy, and maybe coming at Key sideways, you know, sort of, you know, potentially pulling the whole, well, I'm in charge of P&T. It's tricky overall. I think the overarching thing for me, and I know this might sound small in the grand scheme of things, but someone giving sort of attitude or sass to the individual who would literally be the one responsible for hiring them, that would be an immediate disqualifier for me. No second chances. Like, that is red flag territory, and I'm calling it now. If they get hired, I think we are likely to see that behavior reoccur, because if they're willing to do it when not hired, think of what they're going to be willing to do when they actually do have the job. Even if all of their prior interactions were perfect, I think the whole, well, I already answered that in my interview, so I'm not answering it again. girl, go get a job anywhere else and tell that to the person who just asked you that question and just want you to reiterate something and see if you get that job.
That being said, she may have talked with Key beforehand, and he may have already been spooled up a certain direction, considering he was riding along with her. I don't know that that is coming from a place of neutrality. She may already have been biased that direction, but I don't disagree with you that that could be problematic, right?
I mean, I'm gonna be real. If that behavior was exhibited to a fucking janitor at Mission Row PD, it's gonna be a no for you. Speak to Martha that way, and it's a no from me. You know, like
right. But when she has people from I mean, she had Brian Knight and Haley talking to her too, and she's never met them either, and they're asking her questions as well. It's how did Brian get her number and call her over the phone while in the car with Peach and Maxwell? Come on, there's sitting some stirring going on there.
Yeah. Which again, if that's Key saying, "Hey, just don't answer the questions, just ignore it," and saying you don't have to answer questions like that because he's getting defensive. Now that's a relationship.
I think that would be a bigger. Yeah, I think that again, context matters. I think if Key specifically instructed them not to, I think there's more of a case to be had. Because then, this person who isn't even in the PD, who's been instructed to ride with other people in the police department, regardless of department, like you're now stuck in this weird middle ground of the person responsible for hiring you, but also the person who has given you prior directive. Who do you listen to? I don't think it was a tall ask to re-answer questions, but again, if they were instructed not to, I think that, a less of a red flag, but not necessarily fully innocent. I wouldn't say it's entirely a disqualifier at that point, but if on their own accord they decided, nah, fuck that, I ain't answering this, well, maybe the BCSO is hiring. I don't know.
The issue is in our interviews, which Peach came and sat in for, and she's not always there for them. I literally had to stop the interviewees and explain that this is that this is a time to get to know the person who's interviewing and not a time to spend 20 minutes berating them on their accent because they sound like a blainer.
I mean, I would argue 20 minutes is definitely excessive for that point alone, for sure, especially when there's other people waiting to be interviewed. Again, I think the accent thing, not that big of a... Was it really 20 minutes talking about an accent?
Well, poor old Dan. I said, come on, guys, let's get to know Dan. Let's not talk about the fact. I mean, the conversation took like 10 minutes before they even stopped, harassing him about the fact that he cleans for BCSO. I get a little bit of it, right? I get a little bit, but if that's what you're going to hard focus on an interview, I think we've lost the plot.
I mean, I do agree. I think there were things that we probably could have sort of pivoted and sort of redirected. Like, if we are truly concerned that he's a janitor at the BCSO, if he passed the vibe check other than this Blainer thing because he's a janitor there and might have an accent, why would we not offer a similar position here at Mission Row and see him contribute that same level of energy here to not immediately disqualify him? And if he continues and does well, I don't see why we wouldn't consider him. Now, in saying that, Peach also just recently got into this position, so there are teachable things here. Or hell, again, even a position similar to Martha. I don't see why we wouldn't offer that if the primary concern is he's got an accent and he's a janitor at the BCSO. In that moment, right then and there, we could have been like, how would you like to be a janitor at MRPD? You would have to give up your position up north, but you would be able to, take this on pending, being accepted, and see how they take that. And if he did, and he did well, because let's not pretend, that we're going to be going into Academy tomorrow, there would have been at least some time to see if he would have followed through with that. And I think that would have clarified any concerns we had. I mean, that's just my stance, though.
I think I probably need to talk to Peach about giving some realistic feedback, because after each interview, you know, we all stand around and we have a talk,
Right.
and we, you know, we all say how we felt, and we put down notes. And none of the notes on any of these people say anything negative or horrible, or say, no, I feel like this person shouldn't be hired or anything. So it's very tough when all of a sudden this situation pops up, you know, because here we have Clover, who's getting ride-alongs, who's consistently round in shift 2 doing her best to get a job, and then this all pops off. It's been a little wild.
Is it because is sort of the expectation change? Is it jarring? Is it kind of just because Peach is now in this position, hadn't been in the position beforehand, and the
Frankly,
expectations are
yes.
sort of unknown? Okay.
Frankly, yes. And there's a lot of people that are P&T shift 2, and I think they're open to things changing. I think it's the lack of. I'm going to speak for myself here because I helped a lot with the P&T. For someone to come in and be very, very heavy-handed with the P&T and not really to listen, if I'm being honest, a lot of times she'll listen kind of, but it's like, hey, if I don't want them, they're not hired. It's been a lot for people to adjust to, and I'm trying to help the team navigate that. But I would be lying if I said people don't feel a certain type of way about it. Bray feels like he's being bullied out of P&T at this point. You have people that are talking about, you know, if they don't have a great relationship with Peach, they're like, well why am I going to keep putting in the effort?
Right.
Because it's being so heavy-handed, the direction that Peach has, which isn't well understood. Other than, you know, Peach vibes, which is fine, but how do you quantify that other than, you know, she licks her finger, sticks it up in the air, and decides, yeah, you passed the vibe check or not?
Yeah, I mean, hell, I can tell you now. While I may not have a direct role in P&T for Shift 3, because you know, we operate as a UPD, LSPD, and BCSO recruit, and we're interviewing all the same people. When we're hiring, it is entirely a vibe check. There isn't a single RSPC question. There's nothing regarding general police work, because all of that is teachable. What you can't teach is for someone to have a personality. What you can't teach is, you know, for someone to, how should I word this? There are a lot of things that are teachable, and there are a lot of things that are just, if you walk into a relationship with the expectation of changing someone, like,
that will
the
never
foundation is already destroyed. It's broken. It's never going to be able to hold anything on top of that. The police stuff can be taught, and they will learn, and it will take time, but the personality stuff, the vibe check portion, again, for Shift 3, it is entirely a vibe check, because we will put in the time and effort into training you regardless of how long that takes. But we can't teach those. We can't teach those other things. That's an impossible task. So I do think I think Peach probably needs, I don't necessarily want to say to be reeled in, but we need Peach to also understand it's a balance of the vibe check, in addition to who these individuals are as people. We need all. Oh, what's up?
Oh no!
Oh.
Oh no!
What's going on?
You okay, Ruby?
Oh.
Oh no!
What's going on? Can you hear me? Oh.
Oh. So it begins again.
Oh no! It happened as soon as I got on duty for the meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes back to what I was saying before, where I think that diplomacy is needed, and Peach does not have a problem being direct, but I think that it's getting to the point where it's stomping at other people's opinions.
There's a level of tact required.
Correct.
That Peach may not necessarily think is required, but yeah, you're right. It's, even though it might be, you know, Peach's department, if you will,
Yes.
it doesn't change the fact that Peach is not the only one, and you need to be able to take feedback from the people who are working around you, so that you can all collectively work together as a team. Because even if Peach has this phenomenal vision, if everything is based purely on the Peach vibe check, which don't get me wrong, I do trust, but you also need to be able to like demonstrate those things to the team that you're working alongside so that they can also trust these individuals.
She's losing the team is the problem. She's getting to the point where she is starting to lose people. And that's where you get the feedback, because it's secondhand that Ruby's asking, do you know how to onboard? Because Peach is being very demanding in a certain way, but then very expectant of people, to where they don't feel like they have a part, but that they're Peach's bitch, which they don't want to do. That's the energy
valid.
that she's been giving. So it's, I mean, Gray feels that way, and Gray's put in more work than anybody into PNT. And he's like, I'm debating stepping away, because it's getting to be absurd, to where she needs help with shift 1 onboarding. He's there, and then it comes to shift 2, and he feels like his opinion isn't respected at all. It's like, why am I going to put in this work and effort when we want to hire someone, and then it's no. And it's okay for vibe check stuff if there's a reason why, but it's not taking the time to explain or not listening to the rationale of others. So
yeah, my hope is that this can be resolved with you know, conversations with Peach alongside myself and Pred, because again, our PNT department years ago worked very fucking well, and when I tell you that we as high command were hands off, PNT was pretty much autonomous. Like, it very rarely required anything, potentially aside from, you know, potential background checks here and there, but aside from that, it was entirely on them, and the team worked together. You know, there wasn't much issue at all. Obviously, the landscape has sort of changed. You know, the PD has changed, but yeah, she needs to generally understand that she is head of the department, but is within the team, and needs to make sure that the team's expectations and demands are addressed, and not just her own.
Or to, honestly, in my opinion, this is something that I don't know that Peach is used to, or to mentor them into her vision. If it's way different and there's a problem, she can address that, but that takes leadership and having to lead. Not, you don't lead by dictating. And she can get there, and she does have the best. I'm going to be honest, that is one of her strengths. She's very good at vibe checking. I agree. It's
that's a skill she needs to pass down and teach other people.
Yes.
Because if she doesn't, let's also be honest, when the weight of the entirety of, you know, a single aspect of a department falls on the shoulders of a single person, that person will burn out very fucking quickly. It doesn't matter how resilient you are. Like, at the end of the day, no one is immune from burnout. Some people might last longer than others, but at the end of the day, people will end up dreading coming on duty, knowing full well that they're immediately going to have to, you know, have the weight of whatever department on their shoulders, and they're going to have to address a few things before they can do any other aspect of their job. I'm going to speak. I'll speak with Peach. I know Key and stuff are going to have a conversation, you know, whenever they speak, but I'm just going to have a general conversation with her, because I do want, I mean, very obviously I want PNT to succeed, and I want Peach to succeed in the role that she has, but I also don't want her to overdo herself and put too much on her shoulders, because I feel like she will do that.
Yeah, I mean, she's been around from shift 1 to shift 3. I see the effort she's putting in, right? Which is where, to me, this is small potatoes, but it is something that is, I would say,
contribute to bigger
issues. Issue.
Yeah.
Yes,
100%. I 1000% agree. Well,
yeah.
I don't know if Ruby's coming back.
Eventually, maybe.
I had to take a whole nap. Didn't matter how many pills I took.
Yeah, that's what I've had to do. So,
well, I'm going to call. Who is she with?
What do you think I should do with Darkseid? I do have the guy's number. I wrote it down.
if they have information, obviously document it. In a, I would argue probably
Investigative high command. Where do you want
it? Oh gosh, because I'm simultaneously like, why would we treat this differently? Like the Quengle report, that's just a normal report, correct?
I've got another one as well, which is 33.
I think we shoot ourselves in the foot if we make a command report, because then the argument from others is going to be, well, how would we have known? You know what I mean?
Yes, it's the same problem. Yeah.
Straight up, I genuinely think that if we are no longer going to have the marshals be the middleman, I think any and all communication probably just needs to be a normal report, because if we start making it senior or command or anything to that extent, again, the same conversation is going to be had of, well, I didn't know. And it's just going to be a tricky thing to deal with, because again, at the end of the day, there's no cutout in legislation for them. And while that sucks, even if their intent is good, we need to be mindful of the liability it opens us up to if we do end up, doing stuff. Let's not forget, people were throwing around weapons trafficking for the SMGs and shotguns. Not that anyone pushed it, but the fact that that was thrown out, like we are opening ourselves up, which is very problematic. We did speak with a judge, by the way, regarding, actually, there's already a post on the docket regarding the judicial review. I am confused because actually, hold on. I think we're good. So they responded and said, we'll run this as a completely new case. However, within the scope, no new evidence be submitted, which I thought was confusing because this is something that doesn't need to be revisited or rehashed in court. Then Arcadia responded and said, I'm realizing upon taking this case that it's the prosecution who are the ones requesting the appeal. Please give me the evening to review the verdict and I'll inform you of the status before tomorrow. Let's see. People are putting up availability, but that's not required. So it sounds like we'll get a conclusion to this probably sometime in the next 24 hours. And based upon what I've heard, it's sounding like justices did not agree with the ruling at all.
Yeah. This is the KJ case, right?
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
The fact that
I
you
was
can
in
use
shock
weapons
when
in
you read that out.
self-defense against PD was what their big contention is. Like, yeah.
I tried to paint this as clear an image as possible. I have never appealed a ruling in a case. I've never been upset at the ruling of a case, but this one is so far off center that I can't just allow this to go. I woke up and my first thing was, I'm going to file a judicial appeal, and 3 hours prior, Maple had already put one up.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So I'm glad that it was addressed, because if it hadn't, I was going to be putting one up. Because to me, this is no different than the whole, mayor removing people from chief of police or sheriff. I firmly believe they don't have the ability to do that. But if no chief of police or sheriff is ever going to appeal it, it'll go uncontested forever. And I didn't want this to go uncontested and be referenced in other cases, because that would strengthen a case for self-defense against PD, and that's stupid.
I think this is the same judge. I appealed on the Miller case, and ADM said to have 3 pieces of information, evidence removed. She agreed, and she removed them. And then the counsel, the plaintiff, said, okay, since they were labeled before as reports, I would like to resubmit these 3 pieces of documents as 3 pieces of information as documents instead of reports, the same ones. And she said, yes, you can go ahead and do that. I'm in shock.
Ruby, when I found out that's like the primary judge. Thankfully, there's a panel for the Miller case, but that it was McMoo after that ruling. I called up Miller, and I was going to call up Opal and Maxwell and say, guys, listen, I need you to understand this is what happened. I don't want you guys to worry, but I also want you to be mindful that like things might be a little wonky. Like I want people to have realistic expectations. Again, I think the fact that there's a panel will make it a lot better. I don't think in a panel that this ruling would have ever been made. But I mean, again, just be mindful of like not fucking yourself over. I was prevented on several occasions in that court case from stating that KJ is someone who stands on business. When he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. So when he says, I'm only getting out of this car to shoot you, I'm going to trust and believe that's exactly what he's going to do, because anytime he said he's going to do it, he does it. Yep. And I was prevented from saying it. Regardless of how it was asked. And I just thought to myself, hey, listen, again, you know, it's judicial discretion. It is what it is, but I think man, I don't know. It was an interesting one for sure.
Was she the only judge?
Yes, Falconer and Ma were off to the side. But off to the side is in
judge at the moment, or
magistrate.
still a magistrate? Well, aren't magistrates supposed to be with a judge so that they can learn? They're not full judges.
So when McMoo went to deliberate, they had gone by themselves because both Ma and Falconer were still in the courtroom. In fact, Ma was the one who ended up being responsible, you know, and making sure that the court didn't turn into a circus while McMoo was gone. So I don't exactly know how that all works, but either way, it'll be resolved. I was told that a
magistrate is like a PPO. They're still in training and they have to be with a judge. That's why when she first took on the Miller case, it was her and Ava Devereaux, and then along came Arcadia. So if a magistrate is now a full judge, what the hell?
It's so when the case was posted, they indicated Magistrate Sophia McMoo entering as presiding with permission from Justice Falconer. And Falconer was present to the side of the case. So maybe it was just in sort of like an observation role with the expectation that, listen, we have zero desire to get the ruling undone specific to him being found not guilty. We don't care about the not guilty portion. We care about the justification behind the ruling being deemed invalid moving forward. Because, again, self-defense against PD, no bueno. I can't...
That's insanity.
I would argue, 13 years living here, not once have I ever seen it ruled that self-defense against PD was valid. Ever. Not once. And again, the whole aspect of bringing immunity up was pointless. No one was being criminally charged from the PD side, and no one was being civilly sued on our side. So there's no... It's not applicable. Like, it is literally not applicable in this situation. So it was very odd for that to be brought up. And listen, I'm a firm believer that people can be taught. I just don't know if this falls under a teaching moment or just incompetence, because I don't know McMoo all that much. So that's going to be for, you know, the DOJ to decide. However, here's the important bit. McMoo was a elected magistrate, which means come the mayor election, our vote matters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unless they decide to hire her directly.
That is true. However, if they do that, they have more control over those individuals and would be able to release them. But with the elected ones, not so much.
That's crazy. Just crazy.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I wanted to get ahead of that to make sure that no one looked at the docket and went, self-defense against PD's acceptable? Yeah. And then people start doom spiraling. I didn't want that to happen at all. So we're on it. Gets done.
Cases.
And, you know, hopefully all goes well. Yeah, that's all I have. It was a pleasure talking to y'all.
Likewise.
Is there anything y'all need?
No, I just personally feel that I want to talk to Peach about. So I understand that if the boss says this is how it's going to be, even though the 7 people underneath all have a differing opinion, that's how it's going to be. I am just afraid of the fallout that's about to happen.
I agree. Myself and Oxby were talking while you had gone deaf for a bit.
Finding my voice.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had spoken about it. And there are definitely concerns because even if you are the head of the department, or the head of, whichever portion of the department, you're still working within a team. And the whole idea of everything falling on Peach's shoulders, I think, is problematic overall and will contribute to burnout and probably make Peach hate her job. However, we both collectively agreed that the more appropriate approach, there's obviously going to be sweeping changes, but is more so for Peach to sort of instill upon the individuals within the same team, the knowledge that she has with vibe checking people, instead of it falling entirely on her shoulders. That way, it's not just Peach. Because listen, if you're part of a team where your opinion means nothing, why the fuck are you going to be a part of that team? People are going to be discouraged and want to leave immediately, especially when it's an aspect of the job that not many people enjoy. So I did intend on having a conversation with Peach at some point. Obviously, still respecting, Pred's wishes, with Peach being, big boss lady of PNT, but ultimately explaining that, like, you have to make concessions, like, because if you don't, at the end of the day, everything will fall on your shoulders when you no longer have a team because you didn't make those concessions. And then there isn't a team to assist you with those things, which you absolutely need. No single person can run PNT. And if they were ever to attempt to, it would be miserable.
And highly ineffective. It wouldn't work.
Yeah, 100%.
If you were awake for 24 hours a day, it wouldn't work.
100%.
Well, I can't wait for her to go to shift 3 and instill the same vision. I'm sure it'll go over well.
Oh, that ain't gonna happen.
Why not? She's the leader of PNT.
Well, historically, it's never crossed into shift 3, but we already vibe check people. We already vibe check. Not only that, but what Peach will struggle to realize is that because we operate as a UPD, we're sitting in that interview literally has everyone from the BCSO and the LSPD sitting right alongside each other. I mean, hell, the interviews I was at, there's probably a stack of folders still on the desk where we do the interviews, which is like the like when you walk into Mission Road, left hand side, that big table. I stack a bunch of folders, and these people who walk in, they go to the back end of the table, and I tell them to describe themselves to me, and they always go and start describing, and I'm like, no, what do you look like? Try that, Ruby. Put something in front of you and tell someone to describe them, like, what do you look like, and see if they struggle. You'll find more often than not, people struggle to elaborate on what they look like.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I think shift 2 is just having an issue with Peach, who's just kind of walked in and said no to a bunch of things and promoting people that haven't done the work. And we're just like all shaking our heads like, what the hell is going on? Most of the issues for PNT that she brought up were all shift 1. And now she's just walking into shift 2 and saying this is,
these are the problems, even though it doesn't apply.
Right, and she's saying they didn't pass the vibe check. Well, what is the vibe check?
Yeah, that's why I said it's important that she sort of instill that knowledge within people. Now, vibe check, truthfully, that's difficult to sort of like, that's difficult to elaborate on. But like with experience, you sort of pick up on sort of unspoken things that people say or do. That give you a general idea. Now, to be clear, I don't think accent should be part of that. I'm being very clear when I say that. However, again, Peach needs to be able to justify these things. Maybe not necessarily to everyone, but at least to us, so that we know exactly what's going on. But yeah, I'll definitely have that conversation with her. before jumping off duty. It's gonna happen soon, but I'm gonna.
I just don't